When did you record your first podcast?
About 3 weeks ago.
And why is it not up? The point isn't to be the next anybody. The point is to be the best you. The plan is never the plan. It just never works out.
Hi. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm super excited to just get a chance to talk with you one-on-one. I love what you're doing, by the way. I love movement makers. I am incredibly awed by the fact that you take the time out to help people on a one-on-one basis, and you care so much, and it's so apparent in everything that you do, Evan. So I just wanted to say that.
I'm down. Thank you for all the warm words. I'm still getting used to accepting compliments, but thank you, and I'm all yours. Whatever you got, let's go.
Awesome. Okay, so being a part of the movement makers, one of the things that really stuck out to me was how you said, and I don't even know where I heard you say this, but you said that proximity is power. And I think that it's really amazing to actually have mentors and people that can help you along the way. And so that's what you're doing. And I just want to know, where does that stem from? Did you have mentors that really did a lot for you and gave a lot to you?
Yeah, my ultimate mentors are my parents. So I've actually got them on my wall here. So when I'm 8 or 9 years old, and those are my parents above me, they taught me how to be a human. They taught me they would always say, you're Evan Carmichael, you can do anything you believe that you can. And that's still a message that I need today, to become the next Evan. Apart from that, I've had some mentors, but I think most of the mentors that I've had have been what I call aspirational mentors, which are the people on my channel. Everybody that I've profiled on my channels, I've learned something from. And if I don't learn anything, I don't post a video. So I've learned something from these people that's made me a little bit better and something I'm working on. And my hope is that other people can learn something from it as well. So it's never, the top 10 stupidest things this person has said, or the reasons why this person is wrong or an idiot or whatever. It's always just, even if you don't like the person, there's still something that you can learn from them. And that's basically what I'm trying to pull out, because there's going to be things you disagree with on everybody. If you hang around them long enough, you'll find something you can disagree with them on. But the point isn't to be the next anybody. The point is to be the best you. And you get that by being around different people and kind of siphoning off the thing that serves you and discarding the rest. And I think most people just focus on what they can't agree with instead of focusing on the one thing that you can agree with and learn from.
I love it. So it's so genuine and so raw. And in so many ways, I feel like you make yourself vulnerable, and that allows other people to be more vulnerable too. And one of the things that I've noticed about what you do is that it's all encompassing, obviously, your purpose. So it seems like it comes across like it's super easy for you. And I think that there's this congruency thing that people struggle with sometimes when they are, trying to create an image of the way that people actually see them, and then the way that they actually are, and marrying those two together. And you seem to be I feel like the Evan that I get to see is the same Evan that's at home with Nina, the same Evan that's on the road and speaking to people. I feel like I get the full you.
Well, thank you for saying that. I'm trying. It's definitely not easy. I'm actually trying to rip the cover off of easy as much as possible by showing the difficulties and the struggles and what I'm still, not just what have struggled with, but currently struggling with and dealing with and working through. It's become a big passion of mine, actually, because I think a lot of people will see somebody who's had success and say, well, it's easy for them, and they don't see all the, everything that went into it. And I think a lot of my contemporaries and people who are kind of in this space, they look too perfect. And that's fine. It can work for them. I want to be able to reach. My ambition is to solve the world's biggest problem. I need to impact every human. Then I need to be able to be relatable, I think, to every person. And here's what I did, Stephanie. So this started with my website. So I was looking at my website, and I was looking at other people in my industry who had their websites. And if you look at them, you see people jumping up and down on stage and all sorts of crazy stuff, which I love because I've been to those events and they're super fun. But I think to most of the world, people will look at that and say, wow, that's some cult that you're joining. That's some that's crazy. I don't know what's happening there. And so what I did was I talked to all the people who have had an impact in my life who they thought I was crazy at the beginning, but then at some point they came around and they've learned and they've grown, they've gotten better. And I asked them, well, what was the thing that, like, how come you started believing in me? You thought I was just some crazy guy on drugs or whatever, too optimistic, too positive, not possible. But somewhere along the way, you saw that was normal and who I actually am and how you can do it too. And invariably, they all said it was one of the stories that I would tell, whether it was the story of being introverted or the story of hiding under my desk at school and the story of like all of the seeing a child psychologist. And one of the stories that led to my kind of me being here, that created the opening for them to listen, that I'm not just some crazy person, that I've been through kind of the same stuff that other people go through. And so I thought, I need to share that more. So we put that front and center. So if you look at my website now, there's 3 cartoons of Evan, of who I have been, who I want to become. And then the me in the middle, kind of fighting between the two, and basically just sharing all the stories that seem to resonate with people of what I've been through, and just trying to make that more okay. Because I think if you're silent about the thing that you struggle with, you perpetuate the silence. And then other people who are struggling with the same thing feel like they're weird and they're different and they can't share. And anyways, I appreciate you saying that. I'm trying to be as open as possible. I'm sure there's still some things that I'm not sharing or afraid or whatever. But definitely easy is what I'm trying to not be to show. It's a lot of work. I think you guys can get there faster than me. But yeah, I appreciate the kind words.
Well, thanks to you and people like you that are willing to help people like me that are starting out on a mission of really going purpose driven. I mean, a little bit about me. I have a product-based business, and I've had that for a number of years. And so I started my company when my son was 1 and he's just started college. So I sort of it was the intention to actually create my own business so that I could take care of him and be the kind of mom that I wanted to be. And as a single mom, I accomplished that. So my goal was to make it look easy. And the thing is, I made it look easy, but it was really, really hard. So my next endeavor is to not make something look easy, but to actually make it be easy. And so this is a big endeavor, trying to reach out and help people and help the world. It's a big goal, right? It's a big purpose. And I've always had this sort of feeling that I was supposed to do something to help others. And so I'm gravitating to you because I see you out here doing it. And I love the story of how when you started this, you didn't know how you were going to go about it. You didn't know that you were going to have all of these followers and have this massive, ability to reach people and, just help with helping people to understand and gain awareness. But you did it anyway. You went for it. And it's a big job to tackle and take on. But I love that you just believed in yourself. And I guess you can say I'm a believer, too. I'm really in awe of that.
I think the thing to be in awe of is just the consistency and the willingness to keep going. And I think that's inside of everybody. That if I'm special, then you're special, then everybody's special, right? And I believe that everybody's got that Michael Jordan level genius at something. And all of my stuff, I'm not that smart. I didn't know YouTube was going to blow up. I didn't predict that this was going to be the thing. And I knew 11 years ago that I was going to set off and win, right? I had no idea. And I just made content and it just kept going because I liked it, right? Every month or so, I try to post kind of my updated statistics on Instagram of how far I've come. And you see my numbers of when I started, every April for, since I began, and taking 5 years to get to 7,000 subscribers. And then in the next 5 years, going to 2 million, just by showing up, consistently making content, trying to help. And I think one of the things that really helped me was it was never about, even though my mission is to do something really big, I always appreciated the people who are watching. So the fact that I had 40 subscribers, somebody posted to my Instagram, one of the comments is I feel like giving up. I'm stuck. I have 1,200 subscribers and it's not growing as fast as I want. It's but in my head, it's like, those are 1,200 people,
Yeah.
right? Like those are real
Yeah.
people. 1,200 people are listening to you. Could you imagine, like, if you were speaking in a room and there were 1,200 people there, you'd be blown away. But we lose track of that in the growth. And yes, I want to continue to grow and help and build and do something that's never going to happen. And at the same time, being super happy that Stephanie Wheat wants to have a conversation, right? And I think if you can stay grounded in that, that allows you to have the strength and conviction to keep chasing down the bigger ambitions. So, every comment I got, I cherished, and every subscriber I got, I cherished. So it didn't feel like I was way behind. Even it took me 5 years to get to 7,000 subscribers or whatever. It didn't feel like I'm losing because I appreciated the people who are showing up. And that gave me the strength and courage to keep going, even though my ambition is to help reach every person on the planet.
I love it. So I think that's really important too for people to remember, and especially like for someone like me who's starting out in sort of the purpose-driven arena. And really, it's like I'm certain at some point there will be value that I will get in terms of like in a monetary way. And I've launched like, a course, and I've had a challenge and things like that. But it's really more about just doing something with what my purpose is, and that's adding value to people. So when I was thinking about coming on this call, I'm like, how can I add value to Evan? Like, I'm obviously getting value from you, but what can I do for you? And so for me, I thought, well, by showing up in the group and actually giving to the group, like that's adding value. But literally, I'm like listening to you, trying to figure out what can I do to help you? and you're helping me, obviously, in such a big way. I love that you do that. But I guess,
I think the biggest thing, sure, you could recommend the book and all that. That's always great. But I think the biggest thing is actually doing the work, right? So if you're mentoring somebody, and whether it's a single mom trying to figure out her business or whatever the thing is that you're going to be mentoring people in, if she came to you and you gave her some really good advice and say, here's what you need to do next, the greatest gift that she could give you is to go follow the advice and do the thing. More than buy you flowers or sing your praise on social media. All of that stuff is nice. And I don't want to discount it or discredit it. But the greatest thing you can ever show a mentor is the follow through on the work. Because for someone who's purpose driven, the thing that you'll love the most, like if you really give some great guidance to a new single mom who's trying to start a business and feels like she can't, and you tell her what to do, all you want to do is see her blossom. Like you want to see her go off and do it and know that you had a tiny little part in that success, right? I like to say half of 1% is you or is me. That's way more important than them sending a bouquet of flowers over or something, right? So that's always the greatest thing to do is, I don't know, whatever I talked about on our last Movement Makers call, like go do it.
Go do it, yeah.
And then be like the best. What I would love to, like, this is where Stephanie came from. And I'm so pumped for her growth, and I help be a tiny part of that, right? Like that's the greatest gift of all.
Yes, I love it. So one of the things that I've realized is that with people who do big things generally, and I know this has been said on many different levels, but they generally don't know how they're going to do it. It's all about just going forward, taking the action, actually moving forward in the direction of whatever the picture is. And so it sounds like that's what you did when you started out with this YouTubing and all of the inspirational things that you're doing. You just sort of decided to head in this direction, not knowing where you were going to end up. And so do you still do that? Are you still looking for like bigger picture? Are you getting imaginative, like with your creativity and trying to figure out like, what does that look like? Because you've got some big goals going.
Yeah. So I think the first thing you're supposed to do is take action. So I have a thing called the 2% rule, where as soon as I get an idea for something, I try to find a way to take action on the first 2%. What most people do is start planning. As soon as you get an idea, I'm going to plan. And you try to plan your way to 100%, which is getting the goal. I have a goal, so how am I going to plan my way to get to that goal? the plan is never the plan. I mean,
Yeah.
it just never works out. Go look at any successful business and look at their original business plan. It's never the thing. There's always a million pivots. So you can't plan all the way to the end, especially if you have a big goal. Like I'm trying to solve something that's not solvable. It's never going to happen. But I'm waking up every day trying to make it happen. And at the same time, you've got people who are afraid just sitting there in planning mode. And what you've done is used your best energy on planning.
Mm-hmm.
So when you feel bold and excited, like, oh, I could do this. I could launch this company. This is such a great idea. And then you plan. Then you wake up the next day and you don't feel as confident as you did yesterday. None of the voices start to come in. It's like, ooh, well, you can't do that. And oh, you're so busy and you don't have the education and all the voices that hit us. And so you've wasted your best energy on planning and not enough doing. So the 2% rule is you find the first 2%. Like, what's the first thing? You want to start a YouTube channel? Great. Take your phone and film your first video.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to suck. Awesome. But you have momentum, which is the thing that most people are missing, right? You literally pull out your phone and say, hey, I'm Evan. I want to start a YouTube channel. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet, but I had this idea. I woke up this morning and this idea was in my head. So I'm going to start. And this is my first video. And I don't even know what I'm saying and I'm so nervous, but stay tuned for some content, right? Post, right? Like that's how it needs to go. Like that's how you start building momentum. And this is a deep passion of mine and a deep frustration of mine is that there's so many great potential entrepreneurs, so many people who are purpose-driven, who want to have a big impact, who want to, they're just huge hearts, and they're stuck doing things that they don't like, and they just never got started. They just never built the momentum because there's always some reason why they can't. And I'm just trying to get people to move. Like that's why it's called movement makers, right? Like take that first step, build, let's go.
Yeah. They get stuck in the plan. And so that moving in the direction. So I'm going to be a really good mentee because I'm definitely good at taking action and moving in the direction of new things. I just kind of jump in, dive in. That's kind of what I'm known for and bounce around a bit. And so I will definitely make you happy.
and expect to make mistakes, right? Even now we make mistakes. And I know you messaged my team because we sent out a newsletter talking about movement makers. So this weekend, on Saturday, we sent out a newsletter talking about movement makers. And there were a whole bunch of mistakes because it was sent out as a draft instead of the actual one. And so you commented that the same headline was mentioned like 4 times in the newsletter. Somebody else commented that the button didn't work. Like the blue button that says join, like doesn't work. It goes nowhere. It's like, oh my gosh, all these mistakes. And ultimately that's on me, even though if it's people helping me on my team, it doesn't matter. That's my fault. And we sent it out, but we'll learn, we'll get better next time, right? So
no big deal.
That's still the process. Like even now for my company, having 30 people and all these subscribers on YouTube and everything else, we still make mistakes, and I just expect it. It's part of the process. Now, if you're making the same mistake over and over and over again, that's a problem. But when you first start, people expect to be perfect, and so that's why they never start. Where I just expect everything to suck at the beginning, and then just suck a little bit less the next day, and then eventually you figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I like that too. I'm really good at failing. I figure the quicker I am about failing, the faster I'm going to learn and do it the right way. But speaking of, I forgot that had happened. But this weekend I did something too. I hired a virtual assistant who's in the Swiss Alps, and so we're in different time zones. And so we were going back and forth with things, and she was posting things. She uploaded my website and launched it and published it just for the Joy Rebellion. And so all I wanted was just a landing page, like someplace to go and subscribe, people could actually go to. And she posted a course that was sort of just her notes. So I hadn't gone in and edited anything, and I shared it with people. And so they went to the site and they could see the course was up, but it was unedited. So it was really a mess. But yeah, I think that making mistakes is a good part.
When did you record your first podcast interview?
This is my first podcast interview.
Okay. But I thought you said you had a few that you already recorded.
Yeah, but they're just me.
Oh, they're not. So when did you record your first podcast?
When?
Yeah, when?
About 3 weeks ago.
And why is it not up?
Because I'm collecting 3 so that I can launch, and then I can create tell people that I'm launching, and I'll have 3 together.
But this is the thing, right? Launch.
Okay, I will do it with yours. You're 3. I'm doing an interview tomorrow, so I'm going to launch with one of mine alone, and then yours and the person that I'm interviewing tomorrow. So I will launch.
And that's the thing, nobody cares that there's 3.
Yeah.
Just get it up. You had 3 weeks of lost momentum now. If you posted your first one, even how long were you thinking about doing a podcast before you recorded your first podcast?
I've been thinking about it, but just trying to figure out what direction I wanted to, create awareness in. So I decided on podcasting 3 weeks ago when I decided to get the equipment so that I could record it. So
Okay.
I recorded that. I've got a couple. I'll use one of them, probably one on purpose, and then I'll use this one, and then I'll find another.
Yeah, even all of that, that's the launch plan, but doesn't really
Just do
matter.
it.
There's no
Just do
perfect
it.
launch plan. Your first podcast should have been off your cell phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking to your headset or just talking. I still have recorded videos for my channel into my cell phone with no microphone because I'm traveling somewhere. So I just try to keep the room a little bit quiet from my hotel, and I'll record videos still.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And listen, I know you're an action taker. I'm just trying to apply pressure because I want to take the 3 weeks into for some people that 3-week gap is 3 years of thinking and planning and researching, right? For you, it's only 3 weeks. Great. But now it's how do we make that even 3 seconds? I want to do a podcast. Great. All right. Let's record.
Go do it. Yeah.
What equipment do I have? Right. The next equipment, I don't know what equipment, I've got equipment up here. I don't know what microphone that is and what camera that is. And it's been definitely an evolution, right? It's not to totally disrespect the gear and the process, but it's just not the first step. For anybody who wants to start a podcast, the first step is not go buy a microphone and buy the gear. The first step is get your phone, record a podcast in the moment, and then you launch it. And see if you even liked it. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? So many people will buy the gear and then just never do anything with it. I had an idea in the desert last year when I was driving through Texas on my tour, right? I did 90 days, 23 cities. I was driving through Texas to get to New Mexico, and I had an idea to start a podcast with my friend, Mark Drager. I don't know why it came to me. I don't listen to a single podcast. I had no time to do a podcast because I'm on tour and I'm traveling and everything else. But I said, why? I got this idea. Okay, Nina, I was driving, my wife Nina was next to me, my camera guy's in the back. We have to get a hold of Mark Drager right now. I got to tell him something. I got to tell him about this podcast idea. And she's now and bless Nina for dealing with me and all my crazy ideas in a moment. But we got a hold of Mark. I said, Mark, I want to start a podcast. I just got this idea, right? So it's not judging the idea. Where did the idea come from? I don't know. I don't listen to a single podcast. I got the idea. Because I came up with the idea, therefore I must try it. Just shortcutting the thinking process to, I thought of it, therefore I have to do it. Trust that you have great ideas. We got Mark on the call, and he said, yeah, I'm in. When do you want to record our first episode? Today. What do you mean when? We're going to record it today. How is that even a question? We're recording it today. What are we going to talk about? And what's the format? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Start.
Let's just do it.
Right? It literally doesn't matter. Yeah. So when we got to the Airbnb, right, we're driving, we got to New Mexico, we settled in, and then I called Mark and we recorded our first podcast over Zoom. And was our quality the best? No. And was the format, we had no idea what we were doing. Well, whatever. Podcast launched, right? And now we've been doing it every week for a year and a half. We're in season 4 now we just started season 4 of the show. And it's changed a million times. The format's changed a million times, the gear, the setup. That's normal, but it's just, you get the idea and you start to train yourself. I'm just going to do it. We're going to start. That's the 2% rule.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So I'm going to just give you a date of my launch since I've got it in my head. I'm going to launch it Friday. Okay.
It's Monday.
This Friday.
But it's Monday right now.
Okay, but I have to do the interview tomorrow.
But just
And then I have to.
launch with your first one. You have 3 episodes already.
So you want me to launch it? Well, I have to convert it to an. Okay, I don't know how to do it. So I'm learning all
about this one. You've got your 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I said Friday, so I'm launching on Friday.
It's better than 3 weeks. It's not as good as today. But listen, Friday is great. Friday is more than what most people would do. But I am never going to let purpose-felt, ambitious people off the hook for delaying on their dreams because of what? Like, what's going to happen between now and Friday? Like,
well, I have a fashion show. I have an editorial that I'm shooting with models on Wednesday, and I still haven't figured out the makeup artist because of the whole COVID thing. So I've got another business that I'm running too. So that's part of it. So I'm like dedicating that day because I know I've got Thursday that I can go through all of the steps of it and I can launch it Friday. So
that's part of it. But the real it is just the story that you don't want to launch with just one episode of you talking.
Yeah,
and the artwork may not be there.
I still want that. I still want my 3. I still want you, Kristen, and the other. So.
Okay, but what's your message to if a single mom comes to you and says, "Hey, Stephanie, I have this idea," is your message to them, "Don't launch unless it's perfect"?
No, it's not. And I honestly, my message is more along the lines of probably to a single mom, maybe just, do your best, literally.
But this is it, right? Like, you're talking about a fashion show that you've got coming up. Great. And listen, a single mom has, what it's like. You got a kid on your shoulder trying to, figure it all out. And so it's just, I'm applying pressure because I know you can handle it. And
it's still going to be Friday. I'm still going to do it Friday. So I love it, but I'm going to go with my 3 that I already planned, and I'm going to do it on Friday, and then I will do it.
What's the name of the show for people to listen in?
It's Joy Rebellion. So it's podcast.joyrebellion.us, I guess. And I'm doing a bunch of different things right now. So I've started this idea of helping people, right? So I'm working on purpose. Like, I know that you've talked a lot about purpose, and one of the things that I love is you said something about extraordinary. People are not trying to be extraordinary. They're just trying to be average or something like that. Like, it's not hard to be extraordinary. I heard you say this at some point in time, and extraordinary has been my word always, like trying to do things that are extraordinary in everything that I do and every interaction, like trying to find something special to add value to people and to learn from people. So where did you come up with the idea of extraordinary being something super special to you?
I think it comes down to having pride in the work that you're doing, and you want to be able to create something that brings a ton of value to other people. Like, people want to wake up. You want to wake up and feel like today matters, that what you do matters, that like whatever an extraordinary day looks like to you, that may be in your work, that might be as a mom, that might be as a coach or as a daughter, or everybody's version is slightly different. And I want people to go find out what their version is for themselves, right? Like, you don't want to have my life or my schedule, and I don't want to have yours. And people often judge themselves against other people's schedules. Like, well, The Rock wakes up at 5 a.m. and does 4 hours of working out every day. Then you feel really guilty that you're not working out. Especially in the single mom entrepreneur community, there's always a judgment that I'm a bad mom for going to work on my business. But then also I look at these moms and how have they all figured it out? And I feel like I'm a loser because I can't balance these things. Figuring out what balance looks like to you, what an extraordinary life looks like to you, and then having the courage to actually follow through on it.
So what does your morning look like, by the way? I'm curious. Like, what time are you up? Are you a 5 a.m. person? Are you part of that?
No. I kind of wish I was or could be, but no. I went to do a sleep test and to see how much time I needed to sleep in issues, because if I had 7 hours sleep, I would get tired. I'd be tired during the day. And so I went to do a sleep study test, and they hook you up to like 40 different nodes. And, it's really hard to sleep when you're doing the sleep test. And the result was the doctor said you need to have 8.5 hours to 9 hours of sleep a night.
Wow.
Which was not what I wanted to hear. I was
Yeah.
like, tell me the hack to get down to 6 so I can work more on my life and my business family,
Yeah.
right? But it's like, no, you breathe really lightly, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. But basically, I need to have 8.5 hours to 9 hours sleep to function optimally. And so I switched my schedule around. Last night I slept, I don't know, 8.5 to 9 hours. I don't wake up to an alarm. So I usually go to bed at 11:30ish. I'm in bed, and then I wake up whenever I wake up. And I think people often default to giving up on sleep, where the thing they should do is audit the hours that they're awake. If you're going to sleep 8 hours, okay, let's say like somebody's sleeping 5 hours a day. Okay, let's say you're going to sleep 8. I'm going to give you 3 more hours of sleep. What are you doing in the 16 hours that you're awake?
Mm-hmm.
Are you telling me that those are optimized, that you're not wasting time in those 16 hours, that you're fully on, present, and in the moment, right? So now you're going to go down to 5 hours sleep, and you think you're going to do better than you were with 1 less hour sleep. So I think people should first audit their schedule and their calendar and see how they're spending their time and how can they get more results out of it before they worry about giving up sleep.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. Well, I wasn't a part of the 5 a.m. club until just recently, and I was the person who would go to sleep and not set an alarm, and now all of a sudden I'm up at between 5 and 6 every morning, which is different for me. But I was wondering, I would have asked your doctor, like, can I just breathe more when I'm awake?
Yeah, right. And listen, I'm down for hacks, and I love Robin. I just finished his book too, right? I got it right here, 5 a.m. Club.
Oh yeah, love him. Yeah.
I think it's still much more about what you're doing while you're awake. So, you know, if you're waking up at 5, why that tends to work is because at night most people are not productive. So at night people are just watching Netflix or tuning out or doing things that are not productive. Where in the morning a lot of people wake up and they feel like, oh, I'm up before everybody else, like let's get this day started. But it's still much more about what are you doing while you're awake. So if you're awake for 16 hours, whether you're waking up at 5 or you're waking up at noon, right? Like people who do shift work, you can still crush it in your calendar. It's still more about what are you doing for the 16 hours that you're awake. And if you're finding that at night you're not really productive and you're kind of wasting those last 4 hours of the day, then wake up 4 hours earlier and start your day earlier so that you can get the jump.
Yeah, no, exactly. One other quick thing for you. I know that you'd asked about a book, so I'm just thinking I've got a pile of books over here. It's funny, I saw you post something about all the books that you're reading generally in one given time, and I'm like that too. I have 6 books going at any one time. But so a book that I would suggest is probably The Untethered Soul. Have you read that?
No, haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Cool.
Just absolutely, yeah, amazing about perspective on just sort of, our identity and, releasing any sort of connection that we have to a role or a label. And yeah, super incredible.
Who's the author?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'll email.
Untethered Soul. That's easy enough to remember.
Untethered Soul. Yeah. I'll let you know.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's awesome. So I don't know. I'm thinking about trying to figure out about limiting beliefs, right? So something that I'm currently working on, like how do I get rid of limiting beliefs? And like just for, the audience, I feel like people allow things to get in their way, like you're saying, time, like the plan, putting it off. So I'm trying to come up with some imaginative things that can help me to release any limiting beliefs that I might have that I'm unaware of. Meaning, a lot of people have the issue of, I'm afraid to do something because I'm afraid of rejection, or I'm afraid to go live because I'm fearful because I'm shy, or, they have these limiting beliefs that get in the way that they're aware of. But what about the ones that we're unaware of? Like,
yeah, you have to look at what triggers you in other people.
Yeah.
So think about the people who make you upset, get you stressed, make you feel anxious. And it's not that they're bad people. There's just something about them that triggers you. Inside of that is usually something you don't like about yourself. And that's what needs to be fixed. If you can't find it, if you know what the thing is, then it's surrounding yourself with the people who are doing, like mine is still a lack of belief to do the next thing. So I try to surround myself with the people who believe stronger than I do in what they're doing with all the videos that I'm doing, for example. But if you don't know what's causing it, then you look at where you're getting unnecessarily upset at things. Like that thing shouldn't have caused the reaction, but it did. So that's more of like a self-criticism than anything else that is worth some reflection on.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Good. So I don't know what else to do here.
Cool. No, that's good. Super fun. I'm episode 3. Super excited to be on your show. And
yeah.
Congrats on the launch. I'm glad you turned it into action, and super excited to see. I'll see you in the next Movement Makers, but excited to see you on your journey as you continue to grow and have the impact that I know you can have.
Thanks so much, Evan. I appreciate you having me here. I look forward to our next one.
Thanks, Stephanie.
All right. Thanks. Have a good day.
Bye.
If you want to see another awesome one-on-one I did with an entrepreneur just like you, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.